how are you? Nice to see you. Hey, Erin. Hi, guys. Nice to see you. I'm Christine Pereira from Soulful Selling Bootcamp. Hey, guys. Nice to see you. So I'm Christine Pereira. Thank you guys for joining. Oh, thank you from the heart for the hearts. If you're new to Periscope, you can tap on the screen to give hearts. We always love that and appreciate that. And just blocking some people there. And yeah, hi, great to see you. And you can share this broadcast by swiping left or right on your iPhone or Apple device, or up on your Android device. So cool, nice to meet you. I'm Christine Pereira from Soulful Selling Bootcamp, and I wanted to have a discussion today about confidence in sales. Sorry, it's like 100 degrees here where I am in the Bay Area. So I have a little iced coffee. But I talked to someone yesterday and I had an interesting conversation about someone who managed some salespeople. And she was telling me about a salesperson who she thought lacked confidence. And it was an interesting discussion because she was telling me that the person just really didn't feel comfortable. So this is a professional sales organization that I'm talking about. And so the person has like scripts written out for them. They have a list of leads that they can call. You know, in these big companies where they hire sales professionals, they have a lot of resources. So this person really, you know, was really lucky in terms of sales because he had all the resources. He had a script of kind of exactly what to say. He had lots of backup information about the product he was selling. And he had a list of people to call. And he still just didn't, she was saying he just didn't seem into it and he didn't have the confidence. So I was thinking, well, and this was a very new salesperson, someone who was new to sales. And I was thinking, well, how do you build confidence when you're brand new to sales? Like, what is it that makes you confident or not confident? I kind of put my mind in this person. Like, if I was a brand new salesperson and maybe I took this job right out of college or just kind of stumbled upon it, what would make me confident in selling? Because who knows, maybe this person just took this job because he had a friend who worked there, or, you know, maybe he thought he liked sales and then once he got into it, he thought like, oh, this is really scary. And he had all the resources at his disposal, right? Like if we have our own product or service, you know, that's even harder, right? You have to write your own script and find your own prospects. And that's a whole big sales process on its own. But if you already have those, and you don't have the confidence, then it's really hard, right? Like I always say, sales is about three things. It's about confidence, it's about trust, and it's about the sales process. And you really need all three, but you have to start with the confidence. If you don't have the confidence, it doesn't matter if you have all those other three, because you're not going to feel comfortable like making the ask and talking to people. So there was a couple things that came to mind when I heard about this person. So the first was, you know, I wanted to make sure he knew his product, right? And he was given a lot of information, but that's a one thing. You want to make sure that you're prepared when people ask you questions about like, why do you have the best product? What makes your product different than any other person's product? And why should I use it, right? So that's one thing. And I think for anyone who's selling a product or service, you should be able to know before you make a call or talk to it about it to anyone, you should be able to mention the three top benefits of your product. Whether it's I make it easier for you to, you know, make a phone call. Like, let's say it's I've been using this example of like a cell phone cover lately. So say you're selling cell phone covers. The three biggest benefits are, number one, it protects your phone. Number two, it provides some, you know, color to your life every day. Maybe with the design, or maybe it shows that you promote your favorite team or your favorite artist or something like that. And three, I'm not sure what the third one was. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But you should be able to quickly name what are the three top benefits. And these are the benefits to that person. These aren't the benefits to you. These are the benefits of the person buying your product or service. So you should know those top three things right off the bat, right? Before you start making calls, before you start talking about the product, what is the benefit of your product? You know, I have a company, Soulful Selling Bootcamp. We are not selling any products yet. But I would say I make sales more comfortable and less scary for the average person. I provide very simple tools to make it very easy to do sales. And I condense all that information and make it very easy to understand. So it sounds like I probably have to work on those too, make them a little bit more clear. But you really should have your top 3 benefits, right? So that's one, knowing your product or service, knowing what the benefits are. The second thing is really knowing your sales style. And that's what I kept thinking when I thought, like, this is a new person, this is a new salesperson, he's new to sales. Because I think a lot of people, I was just reading a study about how, like salespeople or like a sales job is one of the least desirable or least, people have the least trust in salespeople. I think it was like car salespeople specifically. But, I think people have a certain perception of sales, even people who work in sales. And I've had that in the past too, where I've been kind of embarrassed to even say that I work in sales, which now I feel more comfortable with because I do it in a way that I know works for me. So I think the other part of it is knowing your sales style. And where I think people go wrong here is where they try to be a style that they aren't. And the easiest way to find your sales style is like just being who you are, right? Being an authentic person. So for some people, that's being really chit-chatty and making small talk and like remembering everyone's name. That's kind of like the typical salesperson you imagine. If you were to ask them, like, what do you imagine a great salesperson to be like? A lot of people would describe kind of that typical salesperson who's like really personable, really chatty, but also like remembers everything about you. And I think people think that they have to be that way, and I don't think that's true. Not every successful salesperson is super outgoing, super chit-chatty. You can be an introvert and be a highly successful salesperson. I mean, I'm an example of that. I think that you could be someone who takes an educator point of view and tries to be the expert. You certainly can be that chit-chatty person if that's who you are in real life. One of my first sales mentors was a guy like that. And he was that guy who always talked to everyone, remembered like where you went to college, remembered your parents' names, remembered everything about you. But that's who he was. And he loved talking to people. And if he didn't work in sales, he would still remember all those things about everyone he met because that's the kind of person he was. So he was obviously great at sales. And I think the key there is just to know who you are and what you feel comfortable with. If you feel like you're faking it or you're trying to be someone that you're not or you're trying to appear to be something you're not, then that's a clue that you are on the wrong path. I think that if you talk honestly and truthfully and just act like yourself, that's the best way to find your sales style. And I think there's a lot of tools out there that can help you find your sales style. I think there's like quizzes out online, but it's really, like how do your friends describe you? How would you describe yourself and your personality? For me, I love educating people. I've sold technical products for a very long time. And I think in that type of role, I was required to really educate people about very specific technical details. And I was good at that because I liked doing that. And I didn't like doing the chit-chatty, super salesy, like small talk. Like for me, that's not really fun and it's a little bit annoying. But I loved like sharing people and teaching them and feeling like I was like the expert in what I was selling. Right? And that really worked for me. And I had people over my career refer to me as their video mentor. Because I sold video advertising. And I thought that's exactly what I want. I want people to see me as the expert in my field. So if they have a question, they can come to ask me about it. So I think, you need to figure out what your sales style is. And that's part of the confidence part, right? Like to be confident, you have to, number one, know your product. Number two, feel comfortable with your delivery. If you're making phone calls, if you're an entry-level salesperson who's just learning how to sell and you have your sales script in front of you and you know who to call, you have to, number one, like make sure that sales script like fits your style. You have to make it your own, right? So you should use your own personality. If it's a very formal delivery and you don't usually speak that way, change it. There's the only rules that there are really out there are that you have to make your own rules. So the most important thing is for you to feel comfortable. Right? It's like kind of like with public speaking. I did some videos recently where I taped and I had written out these scripts and I had a teleprompter and I realized like it just didn't work for me. I was not comfortable reading off of the script. Even though I wrote it, it didn't work for me. I love Periscope because I think while I talk. That's just the kind of person that I am. And for me, that really works. And doing the teleprompter and reading off a script that I wrote, it didn't feel right to me and it didn't feel authentic. So we ended up just kind of winging it. and talking about the topics. I had an outline that I followed, but the script didn't really work for me. So I'm curious from you guys. I'd love to hear some comments about what you feel your sales style is, how you build confidence, because I think everyone's different. I have one friend who practices a lot. I definitely think that helps, especially if you're early in sales. And I did that very early in sales too. I have all these stories about where I would like go in the bathroom or go into the hallway, and I would practice my script until I had it memorized. And I was so shy and embarrassed even to make calls in front of other salespeople that I was like, I just have to practice. I just have to practice. And I put it in my own words. And it was only, hey, hi, welcome. Thanks for joining. We're talking about sales and confidence and how to build confidence. And I just practiced a lot, and I got really comfortable talking about the product and using the words that made sense to me, right? Because I was selling something kind of technical, and I thought, like, how would I describe it? Because I think sometimes people create descriptions of things that, you know, they understand, but maybe somebody else doesn't understand. And you need to understand it if you're going to say it, right? So it doesn't hurt to write out some bullet points and to practice what you like to say. And if you're not comfortable with that, if you feel like you just need to know the main points in your head and talk, just like I felt like with the script, like I'm comfortable with short scripts on the phone, but when it comes to a video, it doesn't work for me. So find what works for you so you can feel confident, because it's really important when you have confidence, because there's one part that's like this, everyone tells me is the scariest part of sales. And if you have access to chat, like, let me know what you think it is. So what everyone tells me it is making that ask, right? Actually asking for the purchase of your product or service, right? And that doesn't happen in the beginning. If it is, you might be asking too soon, but, you know, studies have shown you really have to have 4 to 6 quality interactions with someone before you ask for the sale, right? And an interaction doesn't necessarily mean you have to like call them and talk to them on the phone 6 times. It could mean, you know, first you have a face-to-face meeting, then you have a phone call, then you send them an email, you know, then maybe they read a post on social media. I mean, social media really has made it so amazing to communicate with people. I mean, there's people who build their entire followings on Facebook now, which I find really amazing. So I think there's a lot of different things that you can do to, you know, have those 6 interactions, but don't expect to close on the very first conversation or interaction you have with someone. It's just very unlikely, because you when you go and make that ask, when you feel confident enough to ask them to buy your product or service, you should already know that the answer is yes. If you have a doubt, it's totally fine to ask someone, you know, like, what do you think about this product? Is it something that you're interested in? Like, does it sound good? Does it sound bad? Like, what? And if they say no, say, what is it that you don't like? And I mean, I think that's really useful information. And so many people are scared to ask that question. So really, you've had 6 interactions with someone. First of all, that's a very good sign, because if they are responding to or reading, you know, the 6th email you've sent them, or reading a post that you wrote on Facebook, or watching a video, that's a pretty good sign that they're interested in some way or in some capacity, right? Like, you've kept their attention. And it's absolutely okay to say, hey, is this something that you're interested in? Is soulful selling something you want to learn more about? If it is, tell me more about it. Like, what do you like about it? And if not, tell me why. Like, what didn't work for you? And you can say, you know, like, I just want to know so I can improve my product, because you do. And just having open conversations is really hard for some people, but once you do it 1 or 2 times, you realize people are usually very, very open to sharing information with you. And what better way to get feedback than like directly from the people you're talking to? Maybe they say, well, I don't know if I'm ready, or maybe the price is too high. And then you get great feedback from people, right? Because not everyone you talk to and you sell to is going to buy your product or service. And that's totally fine. There are a million reasons why people don't complete a sale. It's timing, it's pricing, it's, you know, not being ready, not being able to make a commitment, not feeling like they are prepared to use your product or service. Maybe, you know, you're selling a coaching product and they're like, I don't feel like I'm ready for it. I don't think that I can meet up to that person's expectations. I mean, it can be so many reasons. So, you know, keep that in mind as well. But, you know, have those conversations and have those 4 to 6, you know, quality interactions with someone. And then just ask them if you're really unsure, like about if they are interested in your product or service. I mean, what better way to learn? So, you know, we talked a little bit about confidence, and just to wrap it up, so I'm Christine Pereira. I'm from Soulful Selling Bootcamp. You can find us on Facebook. You can find me on my website, soulfulsellingbootcamp.com. Sign up for my email because I'm constantly sending new tips, and we are going to be launching a live class soon that coaches people on soulful selling. And there's some great content on there, so I would love for you guys to check it out. And so we talked about confidence today. So the first thing I said was, number one, make sure you know your product and you can feel comfortable speaking about the 3 main benefits of your product. Number 2 is figuring out your sales style. Figuring out how you feel comfortable speaking to someone. If you're super chit-chatty, if you're more conservative and you feel like you're more of a teacher, if you just like kind of to listen and to repeat what they say and summarize it, like whatever your sales style is, own it and make sure you feel comfortable with it, that when you are talking to people, you feel like you are being authentic. So I think that's number 2. And what was number 3? Now I'm blanking. So we have to watch the whole periscope again. No, so I think it's being confident. Oh, and I was just saying being ready, having those conversations, those 4 to 6 interactions. So when you go do that hardest part, which is making that ask, that you feel confident enough to know what that decision is. So when you're going to make the ask, that you hope that the answer, or you feel like the answer is yes, or you feel comfortable enough to ask someone, what do you think? What's your opinion about this? Is this something you'd be interested in purchasing? So that's what I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always great. Again, I'm Christine Pereira from Soulful Selling Bootcamp. You can find us online, on Facebook, on YouTube. I post all of the old Periscope videos. So great to see you. I appreciate you joining and listening today. And if you're watching the replay, make sure to give me a couple hearts. I would so appreciate it. Thanks.